Hi everyone. So, welcome to Monday's next bit of writing. Hopefully over the weekend you've had a chance to look at our model text, practice reading it, practiced with me reading through it. So today we're going to be focusing on how words can impact the reader, right? So we are looking here for the word choices that the author uses to have an effect on us. Just like when we were looking at those poems before about how we can have this positive effect and we can have this negative effect on us as a reader, okay? And we're going to be looking at how it affects us as we read the model text, the caravan. Okay, so we've got two main characters in the caravan. We've got Mitch and we've got Connor. And what we want to do is we want to look at how the author shows us how the characters are feeling at different parts in our story. Now, remember, we know that word choices can show us to do this. And today what we're going to do is we're going to create a graph to see if we can figure out how those characters are feeling at different points of the story, okay? So I want you to follow along with me as we do it, okay? I'm going to be showing you how to make your graph. Then I want you to be looking and think, do you agree with some of the things that I am saying, okay? We're going to be looking to see if we can find evidence for this, right? So in your work packs, you should have this sheet here, okay? It looks like a graph, and on the bottom, it's got our 5 parts of the story, our opening, build-up, problem, resolution, and ending. And on the side, it's got some feelings. It has got things like happy, terrified, and disappointed. And I've put them there to sort of think, right, happy's in the middle. We like to sort of be that happy state. And if we're terrified or scared, we're going to go up with our feelings. Or if we're feeling a bit sad or disappointed, we're going to come down with our feelings. Right. So we are going to be looking at plotting these, but first what we've got to do is we've got to look at our model text. So here I've got the opening, okay? So we're just focusing on the opening here, and we're going to be putting a point along this line to see how we think Mitch and Connor are feeling. So to do that, we're going to have to read the opening, okay? And we're going to see if we can pick out any words that might tell us how they're feeling. Right, so we've got now, Mitch, don't go playing by the pylon. My mum had warned me often enough. It's dangerous. You'll get yourself electrocuted. Did I listen? Of course I didn't. Now I'm going to pick out there that of course I didn't part, because his mum's worried. You can tell she's worried there because she's talking about it being dangerous and you can get electrocuted, and she's warning him. But it says, of course I didn't. Now, that tells me that he's not worried. So I'm feeling at the moment we might be sort of here with our happy, because he's not sad and he's not scared. He's sort of just in a happy sort of state. But that's just my first piece of evidence there. Picked out, of course he didn't. Most days after school, that was exactly where I went. Daft, really, but she actually thought I was doing my homework with Connor. Mum worries too much. I want to pick out mum worries too much here, okay? Because he thinks mum's being daft, and we're showing how he feels about hair warning. He's not really bothered about hair warning. He's not really sort of taking it seriously. So that tells me he's not scared and he's not like disappointed or sad. So we're probably still in this middle section here. I've still not forgotten how she used to tell me not to play under Hanger Bridge by the railway in case the trolls snatched me. Of course, I was younger then. The pieman she was talking about stood at the end of Muggy Moss Road. Red and brown rust fluttered from its lean body. Now I want to pick that out because of the way they've described the pylon, okay? It said red and brown rust fluttered from its lean body. Now, the words fluttered and lean, they don't really give me sort of a scared feeling, or maybe making me feeling a little bit sad. They actually seem quite sort of positive. You know, the way he's describing, even though it's in a sort of awful way, we're talking about rust on this pylon, actually he's talking about fluttering, which is gentle, and it's showing how he views the pylon. He's not scared of the pylon. He's not scared that it's going to hurt him because he's using these words fluttered and he's talking about having a lean body. If he'd said maybe that it was decaying, then maybe he would be thinking about it being more of a bit of a scary sort of situation, but he's not. Okay, let's carry on. And it made odd creaking sounds when the wind blew. It was there we found the caravan. It had been empty for years. If you go past, you'll just see a small patch of overgrown land under the pylon, a mess of brambles and nettles that smothered the van. It was damp inside, and the windows were smeared with green grime. Moss clung to the wheels. It was a place of dead spiders and dust, but it was our special place. Now, I want to pick out that part there, because before then, he's describing the caravan as not a very nice place. It's in a mess of brambles, it's smothered and covered, it's damp and dirty, the windows are full of grime, there's moss everywhere, there's spiders. It's somewhere that maybe I wouldn't want to go. But because he said, but it was our special place, tells us that even though it's awful and it's not very nice, they really like going there. Okay, so even though the authors described it as not being very nice to go to, we've got the idea that actually they really like going to that place. So most days after school, we went straight there just to muck about. It was their place to do what they would like, to keep it special. And just to be able to hang out. So because of these words that I've picked up, because he's got, oh, of course I didn't, mum worries too much, how he's described the pylon as fluttering and lean-bodied, or as his special place, I'm thinking that I'm going to put a point here. At the happy section, in our opening, I believe that Connor and Mitch are quite happy, even though I suppose we're just talking about Mitch at the moment, and Connor comes in a little bit later. But they're quite happy. So let's move on to the build-up and see if their feelings change. So we've got the build-up. Now, we've got that afternoon, a storm raged. It had been brewing all morning. The trees were like crazed zombies, thrashing wildly. Rain lashed down, drumming on the metal roof. A lot of the words in there are quite negative, aren't they? These were the types of words we were picking up in our poem to describe that setting that we had in a very negative way. So we've got the storm raged here. You've got that it's been brewing all morning. You've got crazed zombies thrashing wildly. You've got lashing down, drumming on the metal roof. But the author decides to put this sentence in afterwards. He says, inside the caravan, it felt safe, almost cozy, really. So he's saying that outside this is happening. There's this awful storm going on. It's not very nice inside. But actually, inside the caravan, it is safe and it's cozy. We shoved newspapers into any cracks to keep the wind out. We'd found a bit of old carpet and Connor had brought along some cushions, so they're making the place comfortable. His mum, the cushions his mum had thrown away. He'd also found a candle, and in the semi-gloom, its flame flickered with a cheerful glow. So there again, we've got quite positive language, haven't we? We've got this semi-glow, flames flickering with a cheerful glow. Okay, so even though outside they might be describing it in a negative way, for Connor and Mitch inside the caravan, it's actually quite a happy situation, isn't it? You've got outside, dusk shadowed the bushes. Soon the streetlights would come on, casting orange pools of light. So I feel like they're still quite happy in their build-up, even though it's an awful day outside. Doesn't change how they're feeling inside the caravan. They're still quite happy. So in our opening of our warning story, when we get to write it in the coming weeks, we want to make sure that our characters are feeling happy in the opening. And as we build it up, we also want to keep them quite happy here as well. So let's move on to the problem. Now, we've got here, we were arguing over whether the last goal in the Man United game was the best yet when we heard it. A clap of thunder so close that it sounded like an explosion. Now, I think here we've got our first bit of negative language that really makes us think about how they're feeling, and it's directed at Connor and Mitch. You've got that clap of thunder like an explosion. We've got a fantastic simile in there to compare the sound of thunder. Connor wiped the condensation from the window and we peered out. At that very moment, there was another tremendous crack. Oh, I like that. We've got that another tremendous crack. And lightning struck the pylon. So again, here we've got some more negative language. It's this idea of a tremendous crack and lightning striking that pylon. I think it's telling us that maybe their feelings are starting to change. Maybe they're not feeling as safe as they once did inside the caravan. Sparks flew, the pylon shuddered, and as if in slow motion, it crashed down towards the caravan roof. Instinctively, we both ducked down fast. Now we've got a fantastic alliteration there. Got ducked down, lovely. Ducked down fast. That tells me their movements, they are scared because they are moving quickly. If you're scared of something, if you think you're in trouble or in danger, you're going to move quickly. And they're ducking down because things are happening above them. Okay, remember, it just said that it crashed down towards the caravan roof. So that tells me that they're worried about something above them. So they've ducked down quickly to get out of the way. There was an enormous crash and the caravan roof crumbled. The air prickled. Oh, so sorry. We've got picked up this enormous crash, okay, and how it's coming down. So again, this is describing around us things that might be making them scared. These crashes, these electric sparks that are happening out in the distance. The air prickled with electricity and rain lashed through the opening in the roof. Now there, we had lashed in the last paragraph where it was lashing on the roof. But actually, we were saying this was negative, but it was outside and they were quite positive inside the caravan. Now we're bringing the rain lashing into the caravan because it's going through the roof, okay? And it's affecting sort of their feelings now. For a moment, I was certain that I was about to be fried alive, okay? So that definitely tells me how they are feeling. If you are certain you're going to be fried alive, he's talking about the electricity there and him being electrocuted. In that half light, I could see Connor's face. His eyes were wide with fright and he gulped like a fish. Now, I think this sentence is really tells you how they're feeling at this moment in time. If your eyes are wide with fright, then you're definitely really scared. And he's gulping like a fish, so his mouth is moving open because he doesn't know what to say or what to do. He's just so scared. It's like his mouth is dropping open and he's just trying to think. Come on, he hissed. We slithered like snakes across the floor with the rusted pylon creaking dangerously above us. Now they've used that word dangerously there, telling them what the situation is like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my little dot of how they're feeling in the terrified section. I think they are really scared in their problem. Okay, so they were happy and everything was fine and everything's happened so quickly that now they're feeling a lot scared. They're feeling quite scared here. Okay, let's see what happens in our resolution. Right, let me move myself away. Okay, we've got here, luckily, the door had flown open when the pylon had struck. We slipped out into the muddy ground and lay there with the thunder rumbling above us and the rain beating down. So I've highlighted the word that they laid there, okay? And I feel like this sort of tells us what they're doing at this moment in time, okay? They're laying there because they don't know what to do. Okay, we've got then Connor started to laugh, but I don't feel like the author's trying to tell us this isn't a happy laugh. Okay, So let's read on some more. He curled up into a ball and laughed so much that I thought he was crying. Okay, so I think this adds on to his laugh. It's not a happy laugh. It's almost like a relieved laugh. It's almost like a laugh of, I don't know what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to laugh. He's laughing so much that actually Mitch thought he was crying. I couldn't help myself. The next thing I knew, I was laughing too. Inside, I just felt relief. So they're just happy to be out of there, okay? But I don't think they're as happy as they were in their opening and build-up. On the outside, I was laughing crazily. Then we ran through the brambles and out onto Muggy Moss Road. Now I'm going to put my feelings button here on the graph in between terrified and happy, because they're not as terrified as they were trying to get out of there, because first of all they're laying still on the ground and then they leave, and they were laughing, but it wasn't a very happy, joyous laugh. It was a relief. They were just happy to be out of there, but I don't think they're as happy as they were right in the beginning. It's not a feeling of, whew, it's almost like, thank God we're alive still. Thank God we weren't seriously hurt. Okay, so you can see now in the opening and the build-up, everything was all quite good and we're at a steady level here. And in the problem, the feelings spike up to the top. Now, as we resolve the problem, the feelings come down a little bit, but they don't come down back to where they began with, because it's come down a little bit here. So let's have a look at our ending. Of course, Mum was furious. I'm not made of money, she said, eyeing the state of my clothes. Still, maybe a good wash will sort them out. She glared at me suspiciously. Sir, a tree nearly hit you. I nodded, avoiding her icy stare. So I'm highlighting a few words here. I've highlighted Mum was furious, okay? So we're telling you how Mum feels in this, but we're thinking about how this is affecting Mitch. Okay, and I've highlighted avoiding her icy stare. Now, he's obviously not happy that he's upset his mum because of the way that he's describing Mum being furious and how she's speaking to him, and the fact that he can't look at her. So he's avoiding looking at her because he's actually maybe not feeling scared anymore, not happy, but maybe feeling a bit disappointed in himself. Okay, she goes on to say, "You could have been killed," she said. Shamefaced, I nodded. She was right. She had been right from the start. Now, I've picked out shamefaced, I've nodded. Now, shamefaced is just another way of saying that you're ashamed of what you've done. You know that what she was saying was right, and you're almost embarrassed about what you've done. You know that you shouldn't have done it because she's been telling you all along that you should have been worried about going to the pylon and going to the caravan, but you did it anyway, and actually she was right. Something did happen. You know, you should have listened to her in the beginning. Okay, so I've picked out these things here to show that the boys would be feeling disappointed. Okay, they'd be feeling quite disappointed in how they've what they've done, and actually they didn't listen and they didn't take the warnings seriously when they should. So you can see here how their feelings have changed and how actually the author hasn't necessarily said that they are happy. They've described them being happy in different states. So on your sheet, what I'd like you to do is, hopefully you've been going along with me and putting in dots on the right places, so that you should have something similar like this. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to join the dots up, okay? So if you've got a ruler to hand, use a ruler to join the dots up and join them from opening to build up to the problem to the resolution, and then in the ending. So you can see how their feelings change throughout our model text. We're starting off quite steady here. We're getting quite scared as we sort of peak at the top, and then it comes all the way down when they don't feel very good about themselves at all. Okay, so when we write our stories in a week's time, we'll be looking at making sure that our characters are going through a similar feeling. So their charts, as I read your stories, when you write your own warning story. I should be able to see in the opening and the build-up that your characters are feeling quite happy, and then they become scared, and then they come down to being quite disappointed in what they've done. So for today, all I'd like you to do is to complete your sheet and to think about some of the words and the phrases that we've been discussing. Watch back Friday's video of me reading the model text. Remember, it's really important to practice that as much as you can. And try and make sure that you learn that model text off by heart. So play that video as many times as you can, and you should have the model text because it was delivered to you the other week. I keep reading it, okay? Because if you know this warning story really, really well, you'll be able to write a fantastic warning story at home without me, Mr. Russell, or Miss someone there in the room with you. Okay, right. I am going to end it there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.